introduce ourselves. We are from Group 5 and my name is Murni.
Hello, my name is Naila Filjana.
My name is NORITA Purba.
Hello guys, my name is Mira Melani.
Hello everyone, my name is Stephanie Angelica Samuela.
My name is Cilita Purnama Sarigula.
Psycholinguistic is integration of two disciplines that are psychology and linguistic. Psychology is the study of mind and behavior, and linguistic is the study of language. So, in general, psycholinguistic can be defined as the study of mind in language and is concerned with the relationship between the human and mind. And the language, it examines the process that occur in the brain and will the producing perceiving language. Psycholinguistic covers that are three main points. There are language production, language perfection, and language acquisition. Language production is refers to process involved in creating, expressing meaning through language. Language perfection is process involved interpreting and understanding both written and spoken. And language acquisition is refers to the process of acquiring a native or second language. Three important processes are investigated in language psycholinguistic. The first is language production, language comprehension, and language acquisition. And there are several explained into several discussions about theoretical psycholinguistic. It focuses on theories of language relating to human mental process in language, such as phonetic, diction, syntax, design, discourse, and intonation. The second is developmental psycholinguistic. It's related to language acquisition, but first language. And the third is social psycholinguistic, related to aspects of language, including social identity. The fourth is educational psycholinguistic. It discusses about general aspects of formal education at the school, including the role of language in teaching and reading in teaching proficiency and improving language ability to express thoughts and feelings. And the fifth is neuropsycholinguistic. Neuropsycholinguistic is focused on relationship between language and production, and the sixth is experimental psycholinguistic. It's cover of experimental in all language production and language activities, language behavior, and language outcome. And the last, affiliate psycholinguistic. Affiliate psycholinguistic is concerned with the application of finding of subdiscipline of psycholinguistic explained before in certain areas that are required, including psychology. Thank you.
Language learning and language acquisition. According to Field 2004, the term language learning, namely first language or mother tongue, is a language that humans master from birth through interaction with members of society who share the same language. According to J. 2015, the term language learning is that a second language is a language that a person learns after mastering their first language or mother tongue. Relatively perfectly, second languages are generally used in formal contexts. There are two types of language learning, namely naturalistic language learning and formal language learning. Naturalistic language learning is a learning method that imitates the natural process of first language acquisition. In naturalistic language learning, learners are in a community environment that uses the language actively. This method is often found in bilingual or multilingual societies. Formal language learning focus on using language in accordance with standard grammatical norms, and rules. Formal language learning aims to teach students how to use language appropriately, clearly, and effectively in formal situations.
Factors of effective language learning. Some students learn a new language more quickly and easily than others. This fact related to the crucial factor influencing success that are largely beyond the control of the learner. According to Lightbound and Spada, mention some factors of effective language learning. That is, A. Intelligence. The term intelligence has traditionally been used to refer the performance on certain kinds of tests. These tests are often associated with success in school, and a link between intelligence and second language learning has sometimes been reported. B. Aptitude. Specific abilities to predict success in language learning have been studied under the title of language learning aptitude. Research has characterized aptitude in terms of the ability to learn quickly. C. Learning style. The term learning style has been used to describe an individual's natural, habitual, and preferred way of absorbing, processing, and retaining new information and skills. Learners seem to learn best by ear. D. Personality. A number of personality characteristics have been proposed as likely to affect second language learning. It's often argued that an extrovert person is well suited to language learning. A. Motivation or intrinsic. Motivation has been defined in terms of two factors, that is, learners' communicative needs and their attitudes towards the second language. If learners need to speak a second language in a wide range of a social situation or to fulfill professional ambition, they will perceive the communicative value of the second language and will therefore be motivated to acquire proficiency in it. Next is motivation or extrinsic. Teachers also influence on student behavior and motivation in language learning. Teacher is one of students' reason for studying the second language or having good attitudes towards the language learning. Next is culture and status. There is some evidence that students in situations where their own culture has a lower status than that of the culture in which they are learning the language make slower progress. The last is age. Second language learning is influenced by the age of learner. Children who learn have solid literacy skills in their own language seem to be in the best position to acquire a new language efficiently.
Psycholinguistic approach. Children effortlessly learn their native language before the age of 5 without any formal teaching. The psycholinguistic approach supports the idea that language acquisition is innate and occurs at birth, as language development is a biological process. To acquire language, children require perception skills, cognitive abilities, and other language-related mechanisms. Students engage in all three domains of psychology: cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. During their daily activities, including receptive language or listening and reading, and productive language or speaking and writing. Language is organized in the human mind through memory, perception, meaning, and emotion. Psycholinguistic approach to language learning view it as a cognitive and individual process, with knowledge constructed as learners are exposed to comprehensible input and engage in interaction. The input hypothesis suggests that learners are more likely to acquire language when exposed to input that is slightly beyond their current linguistic competence. The interaction hypothesis implies the importance of communication breakdowns and the use of instructional modification to enhance input comprehensibility and language development. Finally, the psycholinguistic approach focuses on how language knowledge is acquired and utilized, with consideration for developmentally appropriate instruction in language learning.
Okay, the next I will explain the material about psycholinguistic approach and the following is given. So, psycholinguistic approach and the following is given. Psycholinguistic theory has explained the mental process that occur in the human brain when a person develops and receives language. There are four activities known as the following is given, namely listening, reading, speaking, and writing. Here are some benefits of psycholinguistic theory in language learning and teaching as explained by the NORITA 2004. The first, psycholinguistic approach in listening speech. Psycholinguistic research has shown that in teaching listening, stress and extrinsic difficulty must be overcome to achieve high-quality listening activities. Extrinsic difficulty refers to speech, number of unfamiliar words, and prior knowledge of the topic. Extrinsic difficulty refers to student interest, motivation, the purpose of the listening activity, and nice in the environment. Psycholinguistic knowledge will help teachers to reduce intrinsic and extrinsic difficulty. The second, psycholinguistic approach and reading skill. This psycholinguistic approach recognizes the text-based approach as a case of pattern processing in order to emphasize comprehension activity, as well as top-down processing to emphasize the fact that comprehension mainly depends on student knowledge. This theory emphasizes the comprehension of text, meaning depends primarily on student prior knowledge. Psycholinguistic helps students reduce intrinsic difficulty in reading activity by attracting student interest in the reading text. Third, psycholinguistic approach and writing skill. Psycholinguistic help in understanding student error in writing. This psycholinguistic approach shows that there are errors in writing caused by acronym. It should be dealt with properly. Psycholinguistic help in finding interesting topic to write. It helps lower the level difficulty in writing. It helps determine the level of writing and the type of writing. It highlights mechanic error in punctuation and suggests correction for them. The fourth, psycholinguistic approach and speaking skill. The psycholinguistic approach has controllingly applied in teaching speaking skill. It has determined some difficulty in speaking, such as student-oriented difficulty. The psycholinguistic also explain the personality, such as introvert and extrovert students, affect students perform in language learning.
So I want to explain about language teaching methods of psycholinguistic approach. The field of psycholinguistics is a field that studies the psychology of language and has contributed to the development of various language teaching methods. These methods are based on psycholinguistic theories and findings and aim to facilitate language learning. There are three fundamental theoretical views in developing language teaching methods. There are structural theory, functional theory, and instructional theory. Structural theory is an approach that emphasizes language structure and the relationship between language elements. Functional theory is an approach that emphasize language use in communicative and functional contexts. Interactional theory is an approach that emphasizes interactions between teachers and students, as well as student interactions with the environment and teaching materials.
So, now I will explain about language teaching method of psycholinguistic approach. So, the natural method developed by Tercy D. Terrell is a language learning approach that replicates how humans naturally acquire their native language. So for the first is language mystery through natural context. Learning language skills in natural context rather than through conclusion learning of grammatical rules. The second is communicative competence, developing the ability to understand native speakers and for native speakers to understand learners without errors interfere with meaning. So the last is 5 monitor theory. This method is grounded in following psychological principles. First is equation learning hypothesis, monitor hypothesis, feedback hypothesis, and the last is affective filter hypothesis. So for the next, I will explain about total physical response method. This method is developed by psychological from San Jose State College, United States, James J. Asser, 2866. Psycholinguistic principle is language learning according this method are as following. So for the first is language competence will improve significantly by involving kinesthetic sensory system in language learning. This relates to the fact that children are giving utterance that require them to move physically. Next is comprehension is primary reader, then speech production. Students are directed to achieve comprehension competence before they try to speak or they try to write. So this relates to kinesthetic theory. It is believed that positive correlation between physical movement and student language achievement. So the last, I will explain about suggestiontopedia. This method is developed by Georgy Lazanov, a psychiatrist in Bulgaria in 1875. Psycholinguistic principle in language learning according this method as following. So first is human can be directed to do something by giving them a relaxed atmosphere and open or peaceful mind. This will simulate nervous to easy respond and store information for longer. So the second is before the lesson start, students are persuaded to relax their body or their mind in order to gather hypermystic ability. It is an incredible super memory. So the third is the classroom is set up with dim light, comfortable seat, and relaxed atmosphere, and with classical music. And fourth is the laboratorial program and strict grammar exercise are read in the class. And the last, generally material is presented in long dialogue.